everyone, my name is Mary Beth. Welcome to my channel. So today we're going to ask what you need to know on your twin flame journey. We're going to use this deck. This is the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle. So let's pull 3 cards and see what they say. From the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle. 3 cards, please, for my viewers here. For my viewers, for the collective. What do we need to know on our twin flame journeys, please? What do we need to know? 3 cards. 3 cards. What do we need to know? 3 cards. What do we need to know? 3 cards, please. All right. So we have mother and daughter. Oh, it's beautiful. And it's upright. That's beautiful. So, it's a couple of things here. So there's a couple of things that are hitting my brain. So a lot of this has to do with mothering your inner child. I know that sounds strange, but on the twin flame journey, and here's the thing, you might be a mother with a child. And in that case, this is about, being nurturing and loving and spending time, with your daughter. But this also could mean your inner child self. And your inner child is also your daughter in a way. So I'll give you an example. So on your twin flame journey, you'll notice that your wounds get mirrored back to you tenfold, especially by your twin flame. You may have noticed or not. And anyway, so what part of the process is called inner child work. And the way I understand it is that what I did was I started to mother my own inner child, and I started to give her what she needed. So me as Mary Beth, as maybe a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, I personally was beaten as a child. My mother had severe postpartum depression, and so what I had to do was I had to go back and I had to mother my own self, if that makes sense. And so I had to mother my own child, which, so I was treating myself as my own daughter. And I went back and I had to do it a few times until she healed. I had to hug her. I had to give her what she needed. I just told her we were going to switch timelines. I just said, I'm gonna be your mother on this timeline. I'm like, we're going to switch timelines. I'm going to be your mom, and this is what I'm going to do for you. And then I just keep saying things until she'd be like, okay, that sounds good. But there were times when I just didn't figure out what she needed. It's hard to know what a 2-year-old wants, right? And at one point I just said, do you want your toys back? I think my mother gave away my toys or something, or at least gave them to my sister. But anyway, that's what she wanted. She wanted her toys back. So I was like, I'm going to nurture you. I'm going to read to you. I'm going to hug you and all this stuff. And then, she's just like, and I'm like, oh, there's something else? Yeah. So, oh yeah, she wanted her high chair back. She wanted her crib back because, my sister was born only a year after I was born. And so we were poor. And so all my baby stuff went to her. So my 1-year-old self wanted all her stuff back. She wanted her crib back and her high chair and all that stuff. So it's that type of thing. So you're doing inner child work. You're literally treating your own self, your own inner child as your daughter, if that makes sense. And then if you're a gentleman, if you're a male, your son. Just going back there and healing your inner child, especially between the ages of 0 and 7. Those were the most programmable. I like to say programmable years. The years where you're going through all your developmental stuff and we're programmed through. And here's the thing, I don't blame my mother or father because I know for a fact that I picked them and that timeline. That's the bottom line. I picked them and I picked that particular timeline. So my soul did that. So my soul wanted that to happen, for me to be a certain way, for me to develop into a certain type of person. So this is nothing against my mother and father, who are, God rest their souls. They're no longer. They both died. But at the same time, they both became my best friends. As adults, by the way, especially my mother. And so this is beautiful. So just nurturing that relationship with your daughter. And then again, if you do have a daughter, or if you don't, this is definitely, and do this with your inner child. Okay, and now we have far, far away creative daydreaming reversed. Yeah, so what they're telling me is this. So it's like there's nothing, it's like it's an illusion, right? You have this illusion that everything you need is far, far away. They're saying, no, that is such an illusion. That's not even funny. It's like, it's really, everything is right here. Nothing actually left. Like, I'll give you an example. My mom and dad. We were just talking about my mom and dad. My mom and dad passed away quite a few years ago. But I have to say, they're not gone. They're right here. They're always talking to me. They're blinking my lights. I'm surprised they're not blinking my lights right now. Because they do. They really do. They blink my lights. They move things. They make things talk. My parents never left. They're right here. And it's beautiful. I even feel them. Sorry, I'm about to cry. No, I even feel them. I adore my parents. So I'd say maybe you can feel that. I really love my parents. So anyway, nothing's far, far away. So if you're thinking that, if you're thinking, oh, everything I want, all my dreams, everything that I need, it's just so far, far away. It's so not true. And they're saying that, okay, so this is about someone who's creative daydreaming, right? So they're saying, no, don't daydream about it. Do it. All that creative stuff, like that's being the divine feminine. Create, create, create. That's being the empress. That's being really like God, right? God the creator. It's being as close to God as you can get. Or that and unconditional love. But creating, be creative. It's going to really make your soul sing, hopefully. Sometimes my soul gets a little finicky. I'm like, what now, soul? I thought this is what you wanted. Sometimes I'll do a reading and all of a sudden I'll start to feel like a sadness and I'm like, what? You said you wanted to do this. So anyway, yeah, do it now. Do your creativity stuff now. Just do it. Figure out what that is and start to create. It's going to really, it's going to make you switch timelines. I love saying that. You got to switch timelines. Whenever you make a switch or a change, then you're no longer stuck, right? Because you're stuck if you keep doing the same things over and over and over and over. But you make a switch and you start to become more creative, and you're like, ooh, right? Life is about purpose, isn't it? It's so interesting because there's this video out there that I thought was very interesting. I heard about it. I'm not going to say I watched it, but I heard about it and I thought it was very interesting, about a man who really learned how to make a lot of money. And he tried everything he could to make a lot of money. That was his only purpose. He was going to make so much money. And he tried everything he could. And then he figured it out. And he made all this money, right? And he had a mentor the whole time. His mentor was with him the whole time, talking to him. Well, now he had so much money. He didn't need to work anymore because it was all passive. He had all passive income. So he's like, oh, cool. He's like, okay, I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to vacation. I'm going to throw parties. And this lasted for a couple of months where he partied and he just had fun. He would buy everyone stuff and he was just going to the beach. And then one day he got really depressed and he's all, oh man, I have everything I want. I have all the money that I want, but I'm super depressed. And he called his mentor, and his mentor's like, well, it's because you don't have purpose. You have money, but you don't have any purpose. Like what purpose do you have now? So he's like, oh, okay. So then he starts teaching it, right? So he's like, well, I'm going to teach people what I did. I'm going to teach people how to make all this money. And he starts doing that. And guess what happened? All his clients were depressed. All his clients were like, oh, yeah, I have all this money. And yeah. And now it's like, now what? I have so much money. I don't know what to do with it. And I remember this happening to my mother, actually. My mother made a lot of money. My mother was like a self-made. My mother was self-made and not until her 50s, but she was like pretty self-made. And she became very depressed. She was gambling. She didn't know what to do with her money. She was just spending it. She was just like, I don't know what to do with this. She was very depressed. And my sister too. I noticed that. My sister's like, I don't care about Christmas. I'm so depressed. And yeah, so it's like I noticed when people have a lot. So I said, well, I must be really lucky that I don't make that much. Because I really don't feel that way. I don't feel depressed. I feel like I'm working all the time. My money's, it's not too much. It's not too little. But anyway, so it's about purpose. So that's something that I think a lot of retirees have find that to be true. They're like, oh, I'm going to retire. Yeah, I don't have to do this job anymore. And they retire and they're like, huh, now what? But I mean, unless you're a planner and you do, you got to have some kind of purpose, right? I know a lady in Mexico where she owned enough points where she could live in Mexico, because I have a timeshare in Mexico, almost all year round, except for 1 month. And I'm like, wow. I said, oh, and then you don't work, right? She goes, no. And she goes, I'm here and I just have the same schedule and and it's all inclusive. It's really nice. Like I could stay at my timeshare for a month if I didn't work, right? So I asked her, I said, well, tell me about how you spend your day. And she goes, well, I need to have purpose. So she says, I'll go on the beach and I'll clean it. Like every morning I'll get up. And I think she first gets her spa out of she does like a spa thing. That's how I met her, at the spa. And then afterwards she goes, I go clean the beach because people are messy. People go on the beach and they throw trash around and, they don't really take care of nature. So she goes, every morning I'll walk the entire beach and I'll clean it. She goes, that gives me purpose. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's really cool. But anyway, that's how I don't know how I got on that tangent. But anyway, Beauty and the Beast. So this is about unconditional love. It's so funny we're on a theme here this week because on my Sunday's reading, it kind of went into the same thing when they asked what made your change, right? So unconditional love, Beauty and the Beast. So if you think about that, that's unconditional love. If you know the movie or the play Beauty and the Beast, a beautiful woman named Belle fell in love with a beast, and not because he was handsome, but because she fell in love with what was inside of him. Fell in love with his heart, and so that's what this is about. And so I think we do kind of feel that for our twin flames, where. And that's not in every case, but in some cases where you may not understand why you'd be in love with someone who not only doesn't treat you very well, just isn't really all that. I don't know. It just depends on your twin flame, right? Like you'll. I think what I'm trying to get here, where it's like not someone who treats you like a queen, right? And maybe you find them to be very handsome. Maybe traditionally you wouldn't have, except that you unconditionally love them. And that was supposed to teach you that, really. It really was. It was supposed to teach. It was supposed to teach you to unconditionally love someone that really didn't really deserve your love, right? Didn't earn it or anything like that. So anyway, most people are in conditional love relationships. Okay, most people love someone conditionally until they do something wrong, and then they're out of there. Right? They're like, okay, you've crossed my boundaries. That's that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Personally, I think physically you should get out of a relationship if you're not happy. I saw what it did to my parents. They didn't do so well, and it took them down. They stayed together, and I've suggested not to. Too much. So anyway, unconditional love for yourself, unconditional love for others is just more of a, I love them no matter what. It's a spiritual love. I don't have to physically hang out with them though. You catch my drift, right? You don't have to physically be with them. It's just you unconditionally love them. You think of them in a beautiful way, like, oh, I love you, and we're spiritually connected, and yeah. Beauty and the Beast. And so what they're saying is between the two, doing inner child work, understanding that you've learned unconditional love, which is very much a high dimensional love, very high vibrational love, higher than a conditional love. Because most people see, oh, I'm so in love with you, I love you. Well, I'll be honest with you, and I could be wrong, and maybe not with everyone, not with every twin flame. Me and my twin flame, we don't even say the words "I love you." So, and the way I understand it is that the "I love you" is saying that I'm separate from you. I love you, and you love me. And so when you say it, that means you're separate. It's a separatism type, almost program. Between twin flames. I'm not saying for your children or your parents or your sister. No, like you tell them you love them. I'm just saying the twin flame, it's more of a soul relationship. So it's just a different dimensional relationship. So that's what I'm saying about that. It's just more of an unconditional love. And it was meant to be that way. And it was meant to be challenging for that reason, to bring you to a higher realm of love, if that makes sense. And again, nothing's far, far away. It's all right here. No one went anywhere. And if you allow yourself downtime, and if you allow yourself to, your mind, like if you become the thinky, you'll be surprised. You're going to hear your twin flame talk to you through songs, your ear chakras. I mean, and you can physically hear songs, and you'll know it's for you. But sometimes you'll just hear songs, and sometimes it's really angry music. Sometimes it's really sad music, and sometimes it's super lovey-dovey-dovey music. Like super duper I love you type music. And if you really listen to the music, you just know, you're hearing their thoughts. You're hearing their thoughts. And it's quite beautiful. And sometimes when they're pissed at you and they're angry at you, you do hear that too, and you're just like, I didn't do anything. But on their timeline, you did, right? Because we're multidimensional beings. I know it sounds weird. Anyway, I wouldn't have believed it had I not had a psychic confirm it for me. So I'm just like, okay, this is what I'm seeing on this timeline. This is what I'm seeing on that timeline. And I said, and this is how I see things are playing out. And the psychic's like, yeah, I can see both timelines, and you're right. So I needed a little confirmation on that. But yes, it is a timeline switch. So please know that you're unconditionally loving someone who is unconditionally loving you back. But you're not supposed to know that. See, I'm spiritually bypassing when I tell you that. But it really is happening. You just don't know it because you're on different timelines. Well, anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for viewing. I appreciate all of you. And have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.